Okay, I've decided to discuss whether the Christmas holiday has a pagan origin. I believe that it does not have a pagan origin. Now here's my theory of how it came about. It seems that about 200 years or so after Christ's resurrection, leaders of the Catholic Church decided that they would like to have a yearly holiday specifically celebrating the birth of Christ. So they created a holiday, yearly holiday celebrating the birth of Christ. And they needed a day to pick. They didn't know when Christ was born, and that wasn't really the important thing anyway. They picked the 25th of December to have the day to celebrate Christ's birth. The choosing the 25th of December is kind of interesting because that corresponded with a Roman pagan holiday where they would celebrate the unconquered sun god, because at the beginning of winter the sunlight started getting greater as the days went by, whereas so it's like a turning point in the calendar where the sun started to re-emerge in terms of the amount of daylight during a 24-hour period. And that's the way it is today, around the 25th of December, although the calendar's a little bit off, so now it's around the 21st or 22nd of December, when you have the beginning of winter. But some people think that the Catholic Church chose that date as a way to get people to honor the pagan sun god and the rebirth of the pagan sun god. But I think the Catholic Church chose that day so that Catholics would have something Christian to do at the same time that the pagans were doing their thing. Kind of way of competing with the pagans. And it worked pretty much, because you don't have a heck of a lot of people today worshiping the pagan sun god and all that. So that kind of disappeared. And so we have the celebration of the birth of Christ, and it's done normally on the 25th of December. But anyway, they needed words for the holiday in various languages, and the English word Christmas came from Christ Mass, kind of a corrupted form of that term, the Christ Mass. And of course, to do the Mass properly, you need someone who can change the bread and wine into Christ's flesh and blood. That's really the only way to do a proper Mass. So it's funny to see evangelicals and Protestants and junk like that trying to do their Christmas celebration, which they don't know anything about it, really. They had no part in creating the holiday. But a lot of them celebrate it. And yet you do have some groups, like Seventh-day Adventists and certain types of Baptists and Pentecostals, who think it's a pagan holiday. And I admit that it's not listed in the Bible. There's nothing there about yearly holiday celebrating Christ's birth. Nothing about the 25th of December. But nobody can argue that the Bible has to contain every bit of Christian theology in it. It doesn't say everything that Christians need to do or need to refrain from doing. In fact, the early Christians existed before the Bible got written. Back when Christianity started out, they had the Jewish scriptures, and that was great literature there, inspired by God, but it didn't have everything in it to deal with Christian theology. As time went by, some of the Christians wrote things down. Eventually, church leaders gathered up some of that literature and declared the complete set to be the Christian New Testament, and declared those all Jewish scriptures to be the Christian Old Testament. And they put that together and came up with the Bible. Yeah, that still didn't mean that the Bible contained every bit of Christian theology in it. So it was quite okay to have the Christmas holiday and do it on the 25th of December. Of course, the church reserves the right to change the day celebration whenever it wishes to. Ought to keep that one in mind. Anyway, so we now have the holiday, and it does contain some pagan traditions that occur around the same time of year. Some people get into things like Christmas trees and wreaths and hearths and all that stuff. That stuff probably has a pagan origin. The Christmas tree, There were probably some people out there that would worship these trees, decorate them and all that. Maybe thought that they were gods or symbols of gods, and then the members of the church got used to that and decided to put up their own decorations that would be kind of like the ones that the pagans had used, and they gave it the name Christmas trees, so it wouldn't sound like a pagan thing, and people got stuck with it. And other things, maybe those reindeer, Santa Claus might have some pagan thing, I don't know. Although Santa Claus would not be a pagan concept. Santa Claus would be short for, shortening up the name St. Nicholas. And there's a holiday celebrating St. Nicholas, and it was kind of close to the 25th of December. And there's some people kind of pushed them together and came up with that silly, jolly old St. Nicholas stuff. And the mistletoe, I doubt there's anything about Christianity in that one. Yeah, whatever the case. But the important thing, when you do the Christ Mass or any type of Mass, the important thing is to be able to eat and drink Christ's flesh and blood. That's the only way to celebrate Christmas. Okay, the other stuff is kind of interesting, putting up some silly tree or whatever, which I'm really not into. But that's not the whole point, The whole point of Christmas is to do the Lord's Supper, and celebrate Christ's birth, and that's it. And the other stuff it can be part of it, but if you don't do the essentials, you may as well not do it. Okay? So that's just my feelings on it here.